Welcome to the SkyTalkDoc podcast, where we navigate life, relationships, and everything in between with thought-provoking curiosity and a touch of grace. Buckle up, Buttercup. This is a flight you won't forget. Well, folks, we are back with another episode of Sky Talk Doc. And today we have Craig Smith from Holy Hydrogen. We're going to talk all things water, which many of you know I've been geeking out on for quite some time. So, Craig, before we get into, because I've got a whole slew of questions for you, before we get into that, can you share with the listeners how you got into the wonderful world of all things liquid H2O?
Yeah, absolutely. Always been a fan, kind of required for living, right? And so always been a fan of water, never really cared. I grew up in Colorado and, that state has great tasting water. And so I could drink it right out of the tap. Now I know there's probably people screaming, going, "Don't drink tap water." This was back a few years ago when I was much younger, right? When there were probably a lot less pollutants in the water, but loved Colorado water. When you go on hikes, going up the streams upstream from anything and being able to get fresh water out of the mountain streams. So that's one of those kind of ideas. But generally as a kid, just really took it for granted, like most of us do, thinking about hydration and things. But when it really got into hydrogen and water, now that is a whole different story that started when I was 25 years old with a very scary morning. I don't know if you want me to get into that.
Go for it. I'm here for the scary morning.
Okay, so young married guy, right? My wife and I had just been married a little over a year and a half. I wake up next to my sweetheart and I literally couldn't make a fist. Just imagine the panic if you would have woke up this morning and you couldn't have moved your fingers. I could move them this far. I couldn't make a fist. They were stuck. They were frozen. They were painful. I later found out it was rapid onset rheumatoid arthritis. And it usually mirrors in the body, right? If you get it in this hand, you get it here. No family history, nothing. Just out of the blue. It's like you've heard about these people that lose all of their hair on their body overnight. They wake up and literally all their eyebrows are in their sheets, all of their hair on their head, every hair on their entire body is in their bed. It's a very rare condition. I'm grateful that I didn't get that condition at the same time, but I couldn't move. My feet ached, my hands ached. I couldn't make fists. My wife, sweetheart, she made me an appointment. We went to the doctor, got a referral, got in right away. And I'm feeling good. I'm 25, a lot younger than I am now. And I get in there and the doctor says, "You've got rheumatoid arthritis." Wow. And I looked right at him. The first words out of my mouth were, "But that's an old person's disease," right? I mean, that's just what I was thinking when I'm 25. I'm indestructible. I'm just doing my thing, right? And no idea where it came from, how environmental factors, something in my diet, whatever. They put me on and I didn't know at the time, but they put me on an experimental drug. I had to go get my blood tested every month and my eyesight checked every month because I could go blind on this. But again, I didn't know much about nutrition back in the day, the power of water, clean water, the cleaner, the better. Right? Good nutrition, exercise, I was okay. I mean, but I went in and I got on this drug. It started to help right away. The challenge was, though, I made some diet and lifestyle changes. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, I started titrating myself off the drug. I did not want to be on any type of a pharmaceutical long term, right? Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, call it God's grace, luck, whatever you want to put out there in the universe, I was able to completely get myself off the drug. The challenge was my joints never recovered. It was like they had been shocked, right? I mean, just like in an accident. And so they were always aching. And a lesser response was ibuprofen. It gave me some relief. The problem is, I know, again, we probably have people screaming at the podcast right now, "Don't take ibuprofen." And I was taking it every day. And I've been taking it every day for years and years and years. Until one day, my good friend, several years ago, said, "Craig, have you tried hydrogen?" I'm like, I don't even know what that is. It's like 8th grade science up in the corner of the periodic table, right? It's got a 1. And it was the first, element on the periodic table. I said, "What do you mean try hydrogen?" He says, "Drink it." I said, "How do you drink hydrogen?" He says, "In your water. There's a device, you can drink it and and infuse your body, super flood your body with hydrogen. They found it's the ultimate antioxidant, blah, blah, blah. To make a long story short, Dr. Michaela, it was just this. I got on it. I started drinking. I worked my way up to 1.5 to 2 liters a day of just drinking. I'm already drinking water. Why not this water? I started drinking. Within 2 months, I was completely off ibuprofen and have been ibuprofen free for almost 3 years this December.
Wow, that's an incredible story. So a lot to unpack there. As you're talking, I'm thinking about how I grew up in Desolation Wilderness, and it's actually at the base of the Rubicon Trail in Tahoe National Forest area, El Dorado National Forest. And this area is particularly known for something called Wentworth Springs. And people used to travel from far and wide to drink water from this spring back in the 1800s. And
Mm,
what's really fascinating is one of the biggest challenges that I had when I left to go to college and all of that was I couldn't get good water anywhere that I went. And I was so spoiled with this perfectly fresh irrigation ditch water that,
right.
was treated, but still it was snow melt. I mean, it was snow melt from the springs from that area. And I just really struggled like most of my life to find decent water. I remember going to this Mexican restaurant that was on the airport in San Diego. And we just went there, to watch the airplanes or whatever. I was like, you guys have the best water. This is a long time ago, a long time ago. And I said, what are you guys doing to your water? Like, I couldn't find any water like that in San Diego. And they said, well, it's something called reverse osmosis. Yeah, this is back before RO systems were in kitchens. And they said, yeah,
Right.
we have a whole RO system built into a reverse osmosis system built into our kitchen here. And then from then on out, everywhere I go, I would say, but do you have RO water? Well, do you have RO water? It's like this water snob from then on out, right? Like, then
Right.
I knew that this thing existed. And then the Brita filters came out, and that was a big pain in the butt. And then we started to learn a lot more about chlorination and fluoridation and all the different things that they're doing to our water. So then I got pretty fancy with it. I started pulling everything out of the water. And then I learned, well, you can't just pull everything out of the water. You have to put stuff back into the water. So then I
Right.
started getting
Minerals.
the carbon filters and the mineral filters, the zinc and the selenium and the magnesium filters and all the things. And then somebody says, well, have you ever heard of hydrogen peroxide? And I'm like,
Mm,
well, yeah, I've heard of hydrogen peroxide. I pour it on all my wounds, fizzes up and whatever. They said, well, actually, there's medical grade edible hydrogen peroxide. You can't drink the stuff from Rite Aid in the bottle, but you can get medical grade hydrogen peroxide, and it actually does the exact same thing for your internal body. And you can actually, use this hydrogen peroxide in your water. So
mm.
I got some of it, and then I kind of went down that path for a minute, started putting a drop or two in my water, kind of a thing. And fast forward a little bit more, and then I'm still obsessed with water. As a matter of fact, I it's kind of funny. I have this book sitting here right now that I'm actually reading called The Fourth Phase of Water. I don't know if you've read this. Really
Ah,
fascinating stuff. I mean, there is some really interesting things in there about, actually, in one of them he explains how, how it's said that Jesus walked on water.
right.
He explains the phenomena in here using those lizards that can walk on water, and that actually water can become almost like an ice-like state but still look like it's in its liquid form. And so based on the touch and all this, it's really a fascinating book. If you like water stuff, you'll have to read that. But I
Yeah,
started investigating Masaru Emoto's work on
of
water
course.
having memory, right? And this is at the
Right.
time the Kangans are coming out and all that. So when I had an opportunity to talk with you, I was like, okay, cool, because I have a lot of questions I need to clarify from all the years that I've been doing this water stuff. So I guess
Right.
my question would be, what is the magic formulation in the holy hydrogen water that you've got, the system that you have that
Right.
is pulling out the impurities, putting back in the minerals,
Yeah.
incorporating the extra hydrogen? Like, tell me about how that
And let me,
works.
and let me clarify that because some people think it's a water filter. There is a special cartridge that's a part of the machine, but it's not a water filter. It prepares the water with extra electrolytes for the process of electrolysis. See, one of the key things, and there's a lot of pretenders out there, and that's what happens when hydrogen becomes a topic. There's a lot of garbage that's created, a lot of pretenders, a lot of kind of look-alike, clones, etc., made with inferior parts, inferior manufacturing, inferior everything from other countries. We'll just put it this way.
Mhm.
This machine's manufactured, designed, created all in Japan. all Japanese engineering, manufacturing. In fact, we've got the the creator's inspirational story out at holyhydrogen.com that will just touch your heart. I mean, this didn't just come out of somebody wants to sell a hydrogen machine and make some money. This was a father's plea for his daughter. I won't get into the full story. I don't want to ruin it for anybody. Go to holyhydrogen.com. Just go under case studies and look at this creator story. It's pinned at the top.
Hmm.
But I do
Hmm.
want to clarify it's not a water filter. You bring your clean water and we add the pure hydrogen. What happens is the water you drink is not the water that is electrolyzed by the machine. And that's the problem with all of these water bottles. So
Hmm.
that's the problem with so many other machines. You want to have separate chamber electrolysis, it's called. So you pour the water into this little cartridge that prepares a little pool of water that your pitcher sits in. That
Hmm.
pool of water is electrolyzed. That's where the electrolysis process happens. And then through a very special proprietary membrane only made in Japan, it allows hydrogen to pass through this really cool membrane up into your water that you provide. So if you put Florida water in it, you can put in RO water. If you want to put in filtered water, if you want to put in distilled water, a lot of people go with distilled, but then of course they kind of say, well, what about my minerals? We
Right.
don't add any minerals in. It's whatever you put in it. We just add hydrogen. The machine adds the hydrogen. I just wanted to clarify that point for
And
you and
so
your audience.
has the hydrogen been systemically removed from our water and it used to be kind of a naturally occurring thing? Or is this more like we've identified that this extra hydrogen is the key to critical cellular health?
You got it. That is
Okay.
exactly, you said it beautifully. What happens is, yeah, people ask, well, wait, H2O, isn't that what I'm drinking? It's already got hydrogen in it. It's you don't have enough. If we go back again to the eighth grade science, right? Hydrogen up there in the corner, when you realize that that's what the sun's made of. That's what the stars are made of. We're talking 70 to 90%, depending if you're going by mass or volume. Creation is involved with hydrogen, water, everything. And so
Mhm.
maybe life leaves clues. Maybe we don't need less hydrogen since it's the original building block of the universe.
Mm.
Maybe our bodies, as a repair molecule, since it makes up the majority of everything, maybe as a repair molecule, that's exactly what the body needs. It just needs way more of it. You want to super flood your body with hydrogen. And that's what I did for over 2 months. And however it did its, I'm not a doctor, right? I'm not a scientist. I've now become a super fan and a researcher, right? It just, with the advent of technology and advent of information, anybody could really kind of become an expert in their own right. Just give them 10,000 hours, they say, right? So hopefully that clarifies that we need more of it, not less. And so you want to get as much of it into your body as you can so it can go after those free radicals that we hear all about. As an antioxidant, as a super antioxidant.
Yes. And there are so many of these antioxidant type companies, and what it does always come down to is the extra hydrogen. It always comes down to that, whether you're getting that from your blueberries or otherwise.
Good point. See, hydrogen compared to the size of a blueberry, right? The hydrogen molecule as an antioxidant versus a blueberry. The blueberry is like driving a Mack truck into your body. Just I've got to eat it. I've got to break it down. Hydrogen comes right in. There's not a place in your body that hydrogen can't go. Breaks the cell wall, breaks the blood brain barrier, goes from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes. It goes everywhere. There's no places for these destructive antioxidants and this radical oxidative species to hide.
I was looking at the case studies before we got on. A cancer person who renewed life, arthritic pain, as you mentioned, weight loss, somebody who was living with daily, needing ibuprofen, heart failure. We have a 92-year-old woman. I mean, there are a lot of these success stories, including, of course, the founder's daughter, who, if you read about Takashi, it's pretty amazing. Truly, children with asthma, all sorts of things that are completely repairing, which is pretty impressive. The one thing that I will say, and this is probably just a downside to me as a person, but I think it's just a busy life. I will get on the kick and be so good. I will have the blue Vua RO, add the zinc, add the things, or I'll have the Berkey filter and I'll do all the things. And then when it comes time to replace the filter, I'm like, yeah, just move this thing out to the garage. I'm kind of done.
Right.
I mean, I'm terrible about that. Like, and part of it I think is because I'm really big on my core health. I'm very mindful every day of where my food is sourced, where it's coming from, very mindful of my plant-based medicine remedies that I've got. I'm taking those constantly, highly
Nice.
concentrated. And I just do think that the sunshine is a magical cure for mostly everything. Like, get outside, feet barefoot, like get in the sun. But how do you find that people do with this particular system in terms of compliance, or, like actually follow through with it?
Yeah, yeah, there's just really use, right? Making it a health, we believe health is a habit, not an
Mhm.
event, right? Health is a habit, not an event. And so I'm already drinking water.
Yeah.
Everybody listening to this is already drinking water. Now, all you do is pour water into a pitcher, push a button, and 30 minutes later, literally, your water is super infused with hydrogen. You can even switch out the lids and put on a breathing cannula. A lot of people doing, work from home, that kind of thing, watching TV. You just sit there and breathe it. Now, people think, I don't hear it. Well, it's not like oxygen, like an oxygen tank
Right.
where it is under pressure. The
Wow.
hydrogen just flows right up into your nose. People breathe for 30 minutes a day. I worked up so I could drink 1.5 to 2 liters a day, but I'm already drinking water. And all I do is pour and go, and it stays infused, if you will, for up to 12 hours on standby mode. So after
With
the
the
30
hydrogen
minutes,
in it.
the hydrogen in it. So it keeps infusing the water with hydrogen all day long for up to 12 hours. So I like setting the machine right before I go to bed, wake up first thing, sleep for 8 hours, whatever,
Mhm.
drink, start pouring, and you can start pouring immediately. And it only takes 30 minutes to make a new batch or pitcher water. And people say, well, I kind of like colder water. Well, then put ice cubes in it then.
Right, right. Because this isn't a
People like frozen.
situation where the filter and all that's as important, because you're basically purifying the cells with all of the hydrogen. So the extra stuff, it's not like it's going to counter the chlorine, isn't going to wipe out the hydrogen, right? The
No, not at
chlorine,
all.
yeah.
The cartridge that goes in there, it's good for a year. It only has to be replaced once a year. They're on our website right now to have a replacement cartridge again, because it's not a filter. It's preparing the water that sits a little water bath. Think of like a little water jacuzzi. Your
Yeah.
pitcher sits in that. And then so your water that you are drinking is not water you want to electrolyze. Every other device I can find directly electrolyzes the water, and it can add lye, it can add chlorine, it can change the pH, it can add chemicals, and it can leach metals. So you never want your water, you want your water separate from the water that is being electrolyzed. That is one of the number one decisions to make when considering hydrogen.
So, we have four boys that run in from playing in the yard, sweaty, and then they just, immediately go right to the kitchen refrigerator faucet, which actually, I mean, I did a lot of research on kind of what came with the refrigerator, and it's actually a pretty decent system as far as like removing some of the more toxic stuff from the water. But is this something where you can have one glass a day and see a huge improvement? Or is it like you've got to drink this as your exclusive water source, like carry around your system?
Yeah, ideally, this is what you're drinking. I mean, when it is portable, you could take it on a plane. I have, and I just put it in my carry-on. But I would suggest that this is something you're using at home. It's on the counter. You can move it around. Just
Mhm,
be careful, because there's a little water bath there it sits in.
mhm, mhm.
Like you said, the boys come in, they just pour a glass. They get
Yeah,
used to going to the fridge, over to a pitcher. They pick it straight up, pour a
right.
glass, put it straight down, and you'll see the bubbles. I mean, it's still infusing. And so, yeah, is there a minor adjustment? Yeah, to some people's routines. Yeah, the key is just to keep it filled up. And so when it gets low, you simply fill it back up with whatever water you're using, whatever
Yeah,
you choose. If it's RO, distilled, and so on, like we discussed, then you just hit the button again, and 30 minutes later, it's ready to go. For those people that are really wanting to really be serious about their health, we suggest, man, that this becomes the water you're drinking. Now, of course, I go out to eat with my sweetie, whatever, family, I'm drinking the water there. And again, everybody, we're not in the water business, because I know water can be a very hot topic with people. I mean, I've got people that are pouring glasses back and forth to charge their water. I mean, in public, I've seen it all, I think, in the water world, and I respect it all. I mean, people are having wands, they're charging, but this is the first water that's really creating nanobubbles. The hydration process, I mean, you can list and see all of the science, all of the certifications from Japan. I mean, there just truly is nothing like it. And we like to say, your body deserves the best, so give it the best. And is it an investment? Yeah, it's a one-time investment into your health, period.
Yeah, and I think that right, right. And so, for people that might be confused, if you go to the website, you can read a lot about the molecular hydrogen side, the science behind it. But I think what I'm seeing more than anything is that these days the toxicity and the poisons are everywhere. So we have to work a little harder to keep purifying. I do a dry blood analysis about once every 6 months, and I am constantly shocked for how pure I kind of live life, how many heavy metals are in my blood, how much parasites, how much fungus, how much yeast, you know, mold. These things are everywhere, and we're consuming them in the air that we breathe and in, just in our nature around us. And
Diet.
it's really challenging. Yeah, the diet, especially with the glyphosate. I remember taking Dr. Zach Bush's workshop and drinking his poop water for a while. What's this worm poop water? I mean, I've done all the things truly. But I think
I
what it
love
always comes back to for me is that basic understanding of the oxidative stress. And for those that might be listening, oxidative stress is what makes you old. It's literally what makes your
it.
hair
Period.
gray. It's what makes you wrinkle, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all of these kind of, mentally destabilizing disorders that we see come from an overloaded oxidated body. And so yeah, this is where there is a lot of research that stands on hydrogen as kind of the cure. And really a lot of this is biblical. I mean, this goes back to ancient scriptures that are talking about water as the key to life. And if you think about what was about, right? That was a water purification ceremony. And many cultures, not even Christian of nature, still do baptismals in ways, water rituals, because of its incredible power. So I
Yeah,
like that you're
to
infusing
your
it here.
point, when I found out, I didn't even know what the name of the machine was. My friend just says, "Craig, you got to try this, right? You get back to basics, like you mentioned. See, we believe the original folks that inhabited this planet so many years ago, right, that were found on the planet, Adam and Eve, and those that walked the earth, they had the original fast food. They picked it and they ate it, right? Air was clean, water was clean, right? I mean, here we live in this fast food, lunchable, drive-through, instant
Right.
microwave era, and everybody wants it now. And so,
That's
yeah,
right.
to pause for a little bit and invest in your health and get back to the basics, to me, is what is doing it. We're getting back to the basics of the original building block of the universe and superflight. It's all about inflammation, right? Inflammation is the genesis of all disease in the body, like you've mentioned, and this super oxidated state. So we have to go in selectively. And with over 2,000 studies on 170 disease models, independent studies all over the world. Just go in and Google hydrogen, molecular hydrogen, diabetes, molecular hydrogen, cancer. Anybody can do this. We say, don't take my word for it. Go check it out. Go learn and educate yourself.
Fascinating stuff. I sure appreciate you coming on. Folks, you can check all of this out at holyhydrogen.com. And of course, this episode may have come across as a sales pitch, but it's more a plea for people to really look at what molecular hydrogen can do to restore your brain health, your skin health, your gut health, and really start to notice that there is so much that we've been lied to about, or so much that we did not realize that our ancestors, those in the ancient world, they did know. They knew and they were living it. And this is why they were able to live to be 800 years old. And we're just now coming back to the understanding of what, the humans of lore already knew. Craig, thank you so much for coming on today. What an awesome episode.
Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, we just plead with anybody. I would have never guessed 3 years ago my friend would have just said, "Hey, Craig, have you tried hydrogen?" I'm so glad I did. I'm grateful that it was the Lord's Hydrofix. And that's the last thing I'll just share. I had no idea what the name of the machine was. I turned it around to the side and it says Lourdes. I happened to live in France on a church service mission for 2 years of my life, and I happened to visit Lourdes, France. I learned about the history there, going back with Bernadette in the mid 1850s, how she had spiritual experiences there, all with water, pilgrimages. Millions and millions of people have gone there now, drinking the water. What did they find out as they studied the water? Excess hydrogen. And I had no idea. Here I was when I was in my early 20s visiting Lourdes, France to check it out, to learn what was going on there, and to fast forward. And now I'm drinking from the Lourdes Hydrofix. And that story now has come full circle in my life. It's just amazing me how God is in the details of our lives.
So fantastic. And also just another fun, exciting thing for people to research. There is a lot on these magical springs that, people are drinking from, that are seeing these kind of natural results from the combination of what's actually just naturally occurring in the water based upon where it's coming from deep in the earth and what's happening there, all of the elements that we still are learning about. So thank you so much, Craig. What a fantastic time. Looking forward to going more into this topic of molecular hydrogen.
Hey, take care, Dr. Michaela. Have a wonderful day.
The views expressed in this podcast aren't necessarily those of the SkyTalkDoc. They're here to challenge your thinking and inspire growth. Until next time, blue skies and tailwinds.